Now let's talk about this Tucker Carlson interview with Megyn Kelly. He said that Michelle Obama hates her husband Barack and that it's people like her who are miserable in their personal lives that are a big part of what's wrong with modern society. Kinsey, I listened to that interview. It was a fascinating discussion between Tucker and Megyn Kelly. What do you make of it? And has there been much fallout from those claims from Tucker Carlson?
I mean, I just watched Michelle do a Diary of the CEO or another podcast where she seems so dismissive of her husband. Tucker says there's nothing more destabilizing than an unhappy marriage. And that's why he believes Michelle's life exemplifies why it's so important to focus on your marriage. And he said but it's not just her. It's become kind of a cultural thing, a whole class of people who are afflicted with the same restlessness and rage and emptiness, and that they're the ones that are wrecking our society. And I do think that it's important that, you know, if you are married, you focus on continuing to keep the love alive.
Well, you know what? What he said isn't that dramatic. If you've listened to what she has said, you mentioned that latest podcast, but even on her own podcast, she's talked about having unhappy periods in your marriage up to a decade, which is took a lot of people by surprise. And just about everything she says about her marriage, about Barack himself, is negative. So I don't think she should be shocked that people are perceiving that there's issues in that marriage. Now let's go to Meghan and Harry. There will never be issues in that little union. Insiders at Netflix are saying that Meghan Markle is being completely ignored by the executives there. What's going on?
Okay, so since Meghan's show flopped, bosses at Netflix have been quiet about their ongoing partnership. Remember, Meghan called it a partnership, but despite being one of Netflix's most talked about employees, Meghan Markle's loose fruit spread didn't make the cut for the streamer's official restaurant in Vegas. It's called Netflix Bites, and it serves food inspired by some of their biggest shows. You know, like Bridgerton-themed items, Regency tea designed by Lady Whistledown herself. You got fake royals. You literally work with a real one who's shilling jam. Why is that not on your menu? And apparently it's just that Netflix is exhausted with this woman and they're over it.
Well, they've paid a lot of money for very little in return. There has been a very poor decision indeed by Netflix to invest so heavily in this couple. And on Harry and Meghan, a royal insider has told Page Six that Meghan hates the royal family. She doesn't like the UK, and yet she continues to talk about her royal titles and use them for personal gain. The Sussexes agreed not to use those titles as part of their negotiations with the late Queen when they were leaving the family, being working royals. Are they flouting that agreement that they struck with the Queen?
They absolutely are. I mean, in the last few weeks, I think you and I have discussed her posting the message from Ukraine where they address her as HRH. Now we're seeing her sending gift baskets with her HRH title. You know, in this article, it's actually hilarious because they list off the other things you're allowed to call her if you're in her presence. HRH, Princess Meghan, Duchess Meghan, and the Duchess of Sussex are her preferred titles. But you know what? When you have a reputation built on sand, you gotta milk the royal family for all you got.
Kinsey Schofield, thank you for your time tonight.